After 15 harrowing months of relentless war in Gaza, a ceasefire deal has finally been struck between Israel and Hamas. Yet, this particular announcement marks only the first step in a grueling journey ahead, a mission fraught with challenges as the region battles an overwhelming humanitarian crisis and seeks to recover from the shadows of devastation. With over 46,000 Palestinians having been reported to be dead and most of Gaza's 2.3 million residents being displaced over this period of war, the ceasefire comes in as a ray of hope, one that was long awaited and called for. Now, before we get into the discussion on how sustainable this deal is or whether this will set a precedent for all other tensions that have rocked West Asia over the last 1 year, we will take you through what all this very deal entails. Ceasefire will in fact be unfolding in 3 stages. First stage is to last for 6 weeks, which will mark the commencement of the ceasefire itself. Here, what we are learning is 33 Israeli hostages, primarily women, children and the elderly, will be released in exchange for approximately 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Concurrently, Israeli forces will be withdrawing from the populated areas in Gaza at the same time. Now, the second phase aims for a permanent end to hostilities with the release of remaining living Israeli hostages in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners. Numbers of exchange of the prisoners and hostages here is yet to be announced. It's not yet been declared. In the third, or what we know will be the final stage, focus will be on the reconstruction of Gaza and the return of any deceased hostages' bodies. Moving on from the phases that have been mentioned in the agreement, the deal also paves the way for a substantial increase in humanitarian assistance to Gaza. As hundreds of trucks are expected to deliver essential supplies daily, here's a report giving us an idea of what the estimated cost of rebuilding Gaza will be. Let's take a look at this very report.
The UN says war-ravaged Gaza will need billions of dollars to rebuild. Israel and Hamas have now agreed to a ceasefire deal, but it is unclear when rebuilding efforts might begin and how they would be funded. After 15 months of conflict, here's a breakdown of the destruction in the Palestinian enclave. The Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023 killed 1,200 people, according to Israeli tallies. Gaza's health ministry says Israel's retaliation has killed more than 46,000 people. Gaza has been reduced to 46 million tonnes of rubble. The UN warned last year that removing it would take 14 years and cost $1.2 billion. The rubble likely holds human remains. The Palestinian Ministry of Health estimated in May that 10,000 bodies were missing under the debris. The UN reported that rebuilding Gaza's destroyed homes would take until 2040, but could drag on for decades. The agency's data found that 2/3 of Gaza's pre-war structures have been damaged or flattened. That amounts to over 170,000 buildings. Within that, the UN estimates, is the destruction of over 245,000 housing units. That's while over 1.8 million people in Gaza are in need of emergency shelter.
Hamas has played the spoiler.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said neighbouring Arab countries aren't keen to help rebuild Gaza if it will be, quote, levelled again a few years down the line. The UN estimated damage to infrastructure totalled $18.5 billion in January 2024. This included destruction of government buildings, hospitals, schools, universities and mosques. An update a year later showed that less than a quarter of the pre-war water supplies were available, while at least 68% of the road network has been damaged. Hunger is widespread in the devastated enclave. Yet, UN satellite images reveal over half of Gaza's agricultural land has been degraded by conflict. In 2024, the international agency found that over 95% of the enclave's remaining cattle had been slaughtered or died since the conflict began.
Now, geopolitically speaking, the ceasefire deal represents a significant turning point for West Asia as well. It could have a significant repercussion across the West Asia theatre, impacting ongoing conflicts in Lebanon, Yemen, Iran, as well as Iraq. In Lebanon itself, Hezbollah may temper its actions to avoid escalation, while the Houthis in Yemen might reassess their strategies, potentially intensifying attacks on Saudi interests. Iran's influence, on the other hand, could be bolstered if Hamas is seen as successfully negotiating terms, but a stable ceasefire might also limit Tehran's regional leverage. Meanwhile, Iraqi leaders could use this momentum to promote peace initiatives amid the internal divisions. However, skepticism remains regarding the long-term viability of this very deal. As the situation unfolds itself, the importance of the ceasefire deal cannot be overstated, and several pressing questions continue to be right at the center of this very matter. In fact, to discuss this in greater depth, I have with me Dr. Zakir Hussain, is what we are learning. Dr. Zakir Hussain, a Middle East expert, and Lev Aaron, Israeli columnist and journalist live from Israel.